Okay, we were just using range. I'm going to do that again very quickly. Range 0, comma 6. Let's define that. And then we can go print y of 0. Oops. So let's run that. Okay, y of 0 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try y of 5 there. It works. Let's try y of 6. It complains. Okay, so it's got 6 elements, 0 to 5, basically. Okay, it's happy with that. Now, what happens if I say 0 or 2 to 6? Okay, let's try that. It's going to complain now because there's no longer going to be 6 elements. Okay, so it was happy. It said y of 0 is 2 because that's where you're starting from. Y of 1 is 3. Y of 2 is 4. Y of 3 is 5. And then it stops there. So again, unfortunately, when you say it stops at 6, it actually stops at 5. Okay, so just remember that. It starts at 0 by default, and then it stops one before the thing that you asked it to stop at. Okay? This is a convention of sorts. Actually, the run of this piece of code sort of tells you what an interpreter is in Python. It ran this line, it ran this line, this line, this line, this line. And then it got to this line and essentially said, hey, something is wrong here. There is an error. So it doesn't actually somehow understand, well, this might be hard to understand anyway. But I guess here it should have known, perhaps, that what the length of y is. It could, in principle, have known what the length of y is, and if it was doing some kind of compilation, looking at the whole code, it could have flagged these two lines as errors because it goes beyond the range to some extent. Okay. Okay. By the way, there's a little button here, Search Stack Overflow, which is this website that some of you might know, where if you have an error message when you're trying to code, you just Google it, and you can usually go to other people searching for the same errors, and it'll often go to this website called Stack Overflow. Okay, here they just give you a link, saving you time to basically copy pasting this into Google. So the best way to debug is doing Google searches or Stack Overflow searches on these things. Okay. Okay, so that's range. I'm just going to save it. Something. Okay. Now here we just type these things one at a time. Instead, we could have done for loops. So let's see what for loops look like in Python. Okay. So let me just run this thing so that it cleans this up. Okay, something. Okay. Now it's all fine. Let's do for loops. So it goes fruits equals apple, banana, cherry. For x in fruits, print x. Okay, let's just do that. I'm going to type it out again without looking at it, without copy pasting it, because that makes me, or if you're doing this yourself, that makes you internalize the syntax better rather than just copy pasting it. Okay. So let's create a list. X list equals, was it square brackets? Try to remember that, right? So was it square brackets? Maybe it was. We will find out. Okay. Was it a comma? So these are the kinds of things that you will pay attention to if you actually type this out without looking at it. Look at it once, and then um, when you're doing this here, try not to constantly look at it so that it improves your memory of the syntax a little bit more. And then, of course, if you make an error, you should go back and look at things. Um, so it's happy with that. And then we can go for whatever x in x list. I think that's what it said. And then we type enter. I'm going to intentionally do something incorrect. Print x, and then let's run this. Okay, it just said syntax error, blah, blah, blah. And it sort of looks like this. What's wrong? Okay, there's not this colon, so let's fix that. Run it. Still an error. What's going on? Okay, it says expected an indented block. Expected an indented block. So notice here super carefully that there is an indentation. In other words, there's a little bit of white space. Okay, that's super important, it turns out, in Python for a for loop. You just press a tab there. I just press a tab. Save. Now I can run it. And it goes apple, banana, 5. It's happy. Okay. So this white space, if you recall the Wikipedia page, Python, Wikipedia, Python programming language Wikipedia page, there's this word significant white space. This is what we mean by significant white space. The white space here has significance. If you do not put that white space, Python will complain and says this is an error. Okay. Okay, so that's the for loop. Notice that there is no end. It knows when to end the for loop by, I don't know, we can just go, this is not the end or something. If you run this thing, it actually runs, this is not the end, this is not the end, this is not the end. Every time it goes into the for loop, right? So hello again, we say. So all this gets repeated. Let me just put a space there. So when it first time goes into the loop, when x equals apple, essentially, it says apple, this is not the end, hello again. Then banana, this is not the end, hello again, etc. Okay. So what this means is that everything that is indented by a little bit is basically part of that loop. You don't need to put an end. In fact, it doesn't allow you to put an end. This indentation actually makes sure that this is all part of that level of for loop. Now, if you put another indent, y in x list, and then we can go, I'm just going to do some random thing here just to illustrate the point, hey, or something. And that's it. A equals 25. Print A. Okay. So what do we expect to happen here? For every x in x list, it will first print x, and then say this is not the end, and then say hello again, and then print this empty line. And then it will go into an internal for loop, and then for y in x list, it will print hey, and then print hey 3 times because there's 3 elements in x list. I'll say hey, 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 and then go back and do that for the original um, loop. Okay. Oops, there is an error. Okay, what's the error? There's no. It says there is an unexpected indent. Why is there an unexpected indent? This should actually be part of this for loop level, so that's why it's an unexpected indent. I'm just going to save the whole thing. Okay, so that's why you should write these pieces of code and then try it out rather than copy paste. Okay, so that's what it did. Apple, this is not the end. Hello again. Hey, hey. And then goes banana, this is not the end. Hello again. Hey, hey, hey. Blah, blah, blah. And then finally it does a equals 25 print a, and that's outside all the loops. Okay, that's what it did there. Okay, so that's for loops. Let's do is while loops as well. While something is less than something else, do keep doing something. You can look that up. And then let me just click through it. Let's say while I less than 6, print I plus equals 1. Okay, maybe I'll show you what I plus equals 1 is. People that are familiar with C will know what that is. If you say I equals 1, let me just run that. So if I equals 1, and then you go I equals I plus equals 1, and then we go print I, we can print I here. So I equals 1, print I is 1, and then I plus equals 1, basically it did I equals I plus 1, and we get a 2. If we do I plus equals 3, it will give you 4. Okay, that's what that thing is. It's basically doing while I is less than 6. Start from I equals 1, while I is less than 6, it prints I, and then updates I, increments I by 1, and then does the same thing again. So let's just, for fun, copy paste that. I don't want to, well, maybe I'll write it from scratch. I equals 1, while I less than 6, indent, just like before, print I, we can go I equals I plus 1 if you want to be very explicit, and then, or you can go I plus equals 1. What did we not do? We didn't put this colon, I think. Now it's happy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we are less than 6. Let's see, less than or equal to works. Okay, that seems to work. Good. Okay, so that's while loops, for loops. Functions. So in a programming language, being able to write a function is one of the most important things, because often we want to make programs modular. In other words, we want to create little modules so that we can call them as separate modules. We don't want to have everything in the same main program. And this is how we define functions: def, which is like function. Okay, here's a function. Name of the function. If there are any input variables, we can have that. Or if there are no input variables, you just leave it empty, and then colon, and then whatever that function does. Okay. So let's try that. Def some my function is the name of the function, and then you have to indent it to have the rest be part of this function. Hello 1, 2, 3 something, print 3 times 6. Okay, why did it complain? Again, we missed a colon. It's an easy one to miss. Okay, so that's it. We've defined a function. Now we can call the function, my function Okay, we called the function, it executed the function, and that's it, we're happy. Let's make a function that um, has some input variables, a, and then a or something. Um, let's run that. Supposedly it's happy. And then we go my function of, I don't know, 5. It computes 5 times 6 equals 30, and that's that. Okay, so that's how you define functions. And you can call one function from another function, etc., etc. Okay. Um, let's try something. Let's say we need to have an output. We say b equals. There's an error there. Okay. How do you return a variable by running a function? So that's something we shall see in the next video.